Don't say I'm gonna be strong. Like him being gone is to my betterment. My goal is to just stand in his light. I might lose this feeling if I let it sit. The power, I can't explain it. The containment of his presence never fits. Me trying to articulate him is something you would never get. Not because you're not sensitive. The diction it would take would make ours look primitive. But I'll try to arrange it and say it in a way that explains it and makes sense of it, but it doesn't. And I can't do him justice with just this. You won't just see. We can't just breathe. This ain't just changing. I can't just write. You won't just get the gist and see from a read. You can't just quantify Z with an arrangement. He's a different dimension of amazing. In him, I saw a God in the flesh. The best example of divine intervention at best. So I praised him and fell in love before we met. So I praised him and fell in love before we met. I never guessed I would see his death, unable to save him, unless somehow cosmically he controls over his steps and has a say when. His limbs weren't limb, they felt dead. His eyes spread, holding blood to his head, holding on to a dream with an idea I could scream past the injury. I said not to be afraid in case he can choose to leave or if he stays. We would always say we have a choice. Even with no voice, in his new chapter, he tried to calm my mental banter. He said, "Daddy, there is no answers." The more frantic I became, the more it replayed in my head faster. "Daddy, there is no answers, Daddy. No answers. I guess this won't just pass too. I guess this won't just pass too. Time has no play, nothing's fair, nothing has to. There's no lesson to attach this to, but all I have is now. An acceptance of a future that's sadder." Z would say, "This is no way to find what I'm supposed to be after." Z would never search for anguish. He was rational and would always find laughter. We've always agreed what speaks to your soul wouldn't be so easily captured. He was so deep. He was so the example to me. How could I not follow the lead from Z after? One would think it would be illogical to love someone you never met. Love that's so good it doesn't truly get to really exist. I guess it's something that never sits. You can only know the feeling, but it can never be kept. Zion's more, I always wanted to write about you, and I always struggled to find power in words to try and describe you before your and our demise. See, you can never be reduced to a memory or a jotted line. As I try, your power is still too much to write about without you physically by my side. I don't know why. I don't know what you can see. I don't know where you're at. Daddy's not religious. You know how much I try. But I would rather die than to think you're not alive in me. Your life means more than mine. There is no truth, or rather nothing I can find, nothing I decide. Though it hurts to know you're right. You said there were no answers, so I'll stop with all my why.